Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Can you believe it? We finally have a day when the planets have aligned and things seem to be working out, and I'm back on the 86 Dodge pickup. Can we paint this truck for under $500? Well, we're well on our way to being able to do that. Today, I want to get the door jambs and the insides of the doors prepped to take the next steps, and we'll see how far we can get today. As always, my channel is just about spending the day here in the shop. It's not about accomplishing great and grandiose things. It's about just giving you a realistic view of what it is when you're doing the kind of work that we do around here. So let's watch the show intro. We'll see you in about 5 seconds. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
As always around here, there's a lot of things that need to be done in order to get actually doing the work. It's raining out today, but I've got a spot now that I can put the Oakland for the day to keep it out of the weather. So we got to get that car moved out, and I want to get the doors moved over there. And I got some stuff to clean up here from the wheel project that we did on Scoops. And well, I'm not going to make you endure all of that, but I'm just sharing what has to be done so that we can get focused on this project. So I'll be back with you in just a minute, and you won't even know that I was gone. Can one of you guys flip the compressor on? I forgot again. Well, I just evaluated both doors, and this one is really close. It's in primer and everything. There's a bunch of masking and stuff to do, but this one I didn't realize wasn't primed on the backside, and I didn't prime that one, but I knew one. I thought they were both primed. So, in the interest of the project, there's silver tape in here that needs to be peeled off. There's some silver tape on the jam, which I don't care about. Like there's some over on this door too in here that needs to be peeled off. So I got some blending to do to fix that. There's also silver tape down in here and so forth. We don't care about that. Remember, this is a work truck. So I don't care about the silver tape and the jams. That'll hide pretty good. But I would like to clean this up a little bit and get this peeled off. So in the interest of the project, I think it makes the most sense because what we have to paint here is this part of the door, all of that, and then up around the window frame, right? So I think in the interest of moving forward and getting myself remotivated, I think I've got a couple week window here where the weather is decent. What I think I want to do is focus today on just, if I can get the door jams and get that done and get that sprayed, then we'll break the doors down into a separate project. Boy, my hair is just a fright today, isn't it? Um, so that's what we're going to focus on. It's about breaking things down. If I try to do both, I'm going to overwhelm myself and I'm not going to make a big step forward. And making those bites forward is really important. So let's look at the door jams themselves and see what needs to happen. So everything is ready. It's primed. Everything is stripped off all the way around on both sides. Again, this one the same way. We're in good shape over here. The only thing we need to do is do a little better job of masking that off and Scotch Brite everything. So I've got a couple new Scotch Brites around. I need to go find those. I've had them forever. I bought them a couple months ago when I thought I was going to be moving further forward on this, but I think they're up in the house or somewhere. So I'm going to go find those, and then we'll get out here and we'll start Scotch Briting, and we'll do some masking there, and we'll talk about the next steps, and we're going to do the next steps. Of course, we're not just going to talk. We're going to use our hook and loop experiment that we talked about a few episodes ago, and I've got 3 plus 1 more over there. So we've got a bunch of Scotch Brites. I'm going to start just by doing some of the flat surfaces and get those DA'd down real good, and as much as I can, then we'll hit the stuff that we need to do by hand. We'll have to mask this also, of course, and there's a little trimming to do in here just to clean that up so that plastic doesn't peel. Uh, so anyway, let's stop talking. Let's do it. Bumped the edge, knocked it off. What I've learned with the hook and loop as I've used it is if you're doing flat surfaces, it's great. If you're getting into anything where it starts to curve, it ends up knocking this off. So I think it's going to save time on some of these big flat fenders and doors and stuff. But as far as door jams, about the only thing I can do is down here. So it's going to work. I mean, I think it's going to be all right. It's just a matter of being able to keep flat pressure on it, because if you start getting twisted pressure, it knocks it off. just did that little bit on the fender to show you. So I'm just going to go around this real quick. Won't take long. Just got to scuff it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Want to give a little bit of adhesion to that paint to bite in, especially since this primer's been sitting here for so long. Okay, so I got the loose plastic trimmed up and I just made little teeny marks, just little bitty ones, so I know exactly where the tape needs to be. It'll just make life a little bit easier because I only want to tape off the tag. The plastic from the factory is off. I'm not going to tape off the plastic. I'm just going to tape off the black tag so it's still readable. So we'll get that done here. I lined up the tape exactly on the edge of the black tag. You can see our little teeny black marks now. I know where I just got to trim across. So I think I'm going to use a straight edge of some kind. I'm not sure what. What do I have? There we go. This will work. Something small. And we'll just zip across here. Just zippity doo dah. There we go. Close enough. Got a little feather edge there, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Same thing here. Okay. There we go. Our tag is perfectly trimmed now. So we'll take our little Scotch Brite. I'm just using the remnant of the dirty one. And we'll feather edge that out just a little bit. We need to get probably get some paper on that. I could put a little touch of on there if I have any. Okay, I do have some. This is perfectly the wrong color, so this is gonna work well. Just give us a little bit of fill to help hide the edges of that spot where I had taped it off previously. So we'll let that dry for 15-20 minutes. We'll go on to do the other side, and then we'll come back over here and we'll feather that out just a little bit. Again, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to make it done. So it's a work truck. I get that. We're not, we're not shooting for show quality here. Context, remember, cheap and dirty. I'm just masking off some edges that I think are important so we don't end up with a hard line. I don't care if there's a little overspray onto the other panels because we're going to sand that down anyway. So I just wanted to, where the real visual stuff is going to be, just be able to spray in this way a little bit. If we get overspray on the fender, I don't care. I got to sand all that down anyway. Same thing on the other side. So again, masked off there. I got some gray on that now. It's getting pretty close. I just got to wait for that to dry. I'm good here. Everything is scuffed down. So as soon as this dries up, I will hit that with some Prep Sol and just everything. Actually, I can hit all of it with Prep Sol except for that spot right now. So we'll get that done and we'll be just about ready to blow some color, I think. Oh yeah, I got to clean up my tools too. Remember that the context of this is quick, dirty, and cheap. If I was doing a show car, I would be doing a whole lot more cleaning up and a whole lot more masking, and I'd be doing things completely differently. My goal with this truck is to get it done as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible. It's just a work truck. So he just wants it to be all one color, to look decent, not perfect, and be something that he's going to enjoy driving.
I think there's ghosts in here.
Oh, I got a family of birds living up in there that came in through the sidewall. That's what I'm hearing. Anywho, um, and so you got to give the customer what they want. He doesn't want something that's so nice he's going to be afraid to drive it or get it scratched up. He wants to be able to throw crap in the back and haul it. He wants to be able to bomb around with it. Yeah, he wants it to look nice, but he doesn't want it to look perfect because if he scratches it, he doesn't want to care. Now, I already know that the truck is going to look nice enough that he's still going to care, but you understand the balance here is I can't spend 3,000 hours doing a paint job on a truck for a guy who wants a quick and dirty paint job. So and some people will flame me for the way I'm doing things, but I'm doing things to do them as quick as possible and as cheap as possible. So if you haven't seen this paint series before, I just wanted to clarify that. So I'm ready actually now to blow some color in the door jambs. I got my gun out. I need to go in the house and get the paint where it's been stored for the winter so it wouldn't freeze. Not going to freeze out here now, but you know what I'm saying. So I want to do a little test panel, a little test piece. So I'll find some little thing around here that I can spray a little bit and just get a feel for it. Right now I'm using my primer gun, which is the biggest orifice I have. I may need to bump the orifice down, but that's what we're going to start with. Just went through and read all of the paperwork that I got from this paint company to be sure that I had everything in order. 5 to 10% reduction with water. It's a waterborne paint. Um, this is the first I'm taking the lid off. It smells like paint. Let's give her a little. Oh yeah, nice. A little bit of solids in the bottom, not bad. We'll mix it, stir it, mix it, toil, toil, cauldron, bubble. Wished I had a paint shaker, but I don't, and that's okay. I want to get a good feel for this stuff, so I got to come up with my. So 10%, that's a 10 to 1.
Basically, or 6 to 1. So I'm gonna have to do it by ounces instead. So if we went 5 ounces, yeah, that makes my brain hurt. 10 ounces would be 1 ounce, would be 10%. So 5 ounces would be a half an ounce. Is what I'm trying to say. So well, yeah,
So I'm just going to take my little sharp screwdriver, go down in the rim of the can, just poke some holes, provide some drain back. So now any paint that gets trapped in the lip can drip back down into the can. Let's do that voodoo that we do. I want to make sure when I pour this that I don't pour it over the instructions on the can, even though I do have the stuff from the factory. So yeah, this will be good. It's just kind of an advertising thing. That's probably about good. Oh yeah, perfect. Look at that. I forgot to put my little lip on the. It's fine. Usually I put a little tape funnel on my can. I forgot to do that. Yeah, a little bit thinner than I was expecting, but it's not bad. So it's all good. Put that there. I'm gonna go get a little water. We're at about 8 ounces, so we'll do just a little over a half an ounce, and you get 3/4 of an ounce, and that'll. The gun is all loaded up. We're ready to go. The primer there is dry. I was going to shoot a test panel. I realized it's an inner door jamb. We're not painting the middle of a hood or anything, so we'll just play with it here on the vehicle and save time, save a little bit of paint. I got a feel for it. Doesn't feel bad at all. So let's shoot it and see what we got, eh? Okay, it's been like 5 minutes, and it's still obviously tacky. Not even tacky, but I'm not unimpressed with this paint. This side I was being really conservative on because I hadn't sprayed it before, so I kind of got a feel. I kept turning the gun up a little bit. I got 0 runs so far. I probably just haven't gotten to the part of the can where they've mixed those runs yet. But I felt pretty comfortable, so when I hit the other side, I did it a little heavier. So let me take you around over there, and we'll show you what we got over there. So far, so good. I must have missed a spot there. I got a little fisheye. But for a first coat, no, there's no runs at all. The only runs I see are there, and those were in there before. And those were there before I even primed it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Um, just going to take a while for this to tack up. And so we got to be patient. So I need to go away for like a half an hour or something and just let it do its thing. A little bit of fish eyes there too, maybe. But again, it's a door jam. I'm not worried about it. But this is a great place to play and experiment. So we'll do that. So yeah, I'm not disappointed with this so far. We've been about 10 minutes now. I'll go check that on the tape and see, where it's at as far as drying. I think it was like 15, 20 minutes between flash coats. Normally with solvent paints on a rainy day, it dries a little bit faster, but I think with water-based paints that may not necessarily be true. But remember that moisture in the air helps wick the moistures and the solvents out of the paint. So it's not necessarily what you might think. But having painted bazillions of gallons of water-based paint, when I used to paint houses and building commercial buildings professionally, um, my guts tell me this is going to dry a little slow today, so we're going to have to be patient. Yeah, that's going to take a while. Okay, we got to really be patient. Um, so I'm going to go away for a bit, let that come back, and until I can touch that and it be not really that wet like that, we got to just let this sit. And as anybody that paints can tell you, patience is the biggest thing when you're painting. You can't rush. You have to just let things do what they're going to do. If you run into a problem, stop and wait for things to dry, go back and fix the problem, and then try again. Um, so whether you're doing a cheap and dirty $500 paint job or a show quality $10,000, $20,000 paint job, around here we've done it all. I've done all of that stuff in my life. That's one thing that I've learned and I still struggle with because I'm not the most patient person in the world. So, but we're going to go, it's lunchtime anyway, so I'm going to go eat some lunch. We'll just let this be and we'll be back. Okay, I'm inserting the time here on what it was, 33 minutes or something like that. We are dry to the touch, so that's good. I did get one run down in there, which is no surprise. I'm wondering if I shouldn't be not reducing this paint, but overall it looks good. Let's go to the other side and see what we look like. Still a little bit wet down there, so I could probably let it dry more. Definitely gotta, well, I don't think that's from us. Well, there's some runs in there, so I think the way to handle this right now is going to go ahead and hit it with another light coat. I think if it was a drier day, this wouldn't be an issue. But I don't see any other runs, so I think we're okay. Oh, there's another little run right there. So yeah, stuff's a bit watery. So I probably next time I spray this, I won't reduce it, but that's fine. We're learning. We'll just hit it one more time. Well, not bad. I don't see any runs yet. So the first coat I put down was kind of a glue coat that helps the next coat stick. It's still showing through primer some, but the first coat was pretty light. So this is technically like a coat and a half. It's requiring a minimum of 2 coats. So I'm probably going to have to hit it one more time. But the dry time on this, obviously, like if this was really covering good, that run that's right there wouldn't be sticking out so white. So you can see we're a little gray in there yet. But that's okay. It's part of the learning here. So I think if I was to spray this again, when I spray this again, I probably won't reduce it at all. Probably should have started out that way, but live and learn. So check the other side. Yeah, we still got a lot of stuff showing through. So, it's going to do all right, but it's going to take some work. So I'm definitely, when I paint the exterior parts of this truck, I'm going to have to be, it's going to have to be the perfect day. It's a little cool today. That doesn't help. It's like 65. It's 62 in the shop right now. So that's part of this. Now that I think about it, the temperature is a little low. We've had so much like 90-degree days that I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it's not even 70 today. So that's definitely part of this. But that's why we're doing door jams. But overall, I mean, it's door jams, so not bad. We're gonna let this go for probably 45 minutes, and then we'll come back and check it, and probably hit it one more time. So we're, whatever the timer says here on the screen now, 50 some minutes in, and it's still wet. So we're not drying. The temperature's too low, and I can't even turn the furnace on to bake things because it's too wet. If I turn that furnace on right now, what's going to happen is it's going to stir up so much dust. It's going to be a huge problem, and then we're going to have bigger problems. So what I need to do is be patient, let this dry more. Once it's dry to the touch, then I can go ahead and get the furnace turned on and get the temperature up to like 80 in here and just bake the crap out of this, and then decide if I'm going to try to cover it one more time or if we're just going to let it go. Remember, part of the problem is the metal itself is cold, so things don't dry right, and that's my mistake. I know better than that. I'll explain a couple things here. With solvent-based paints in an environment like this, I know what I can get away with and what I can't because I've been using solvent-based paints for over 30 years. So on a day like today with the humidity like it is and it's only being 60 some degrees in here, it would be fine. Water-based is new to me as far as automotive. I've painted tons, as I said before. So lesson learned here, number one, don't reduce this. That was a mistake. Number two, I should have paid more attention to the temperature recommendations. I should have been careful. It's like when I cook. If I'm trying some kind of a new dish and I'm following a recipe, which I often don't, but if I'm trying some new recipe when I'm cooking, the very first time I make it, I try to follow the recipe to the T. I should have done that with this paint. So that was another big mistake on my part. Now, nothing here is a big problem, okay? I'm just walking you through the process of what I have to do to adapt. So right now, I've got this heater running, but not blowing anywhere near the vehicle. So it's not going to help a lot, but it's going to help a little. I'm trying to get things dried enough so that I can turn that more toward the vehicle and dry this faster. So I'm indirectly, I can probably direct it over this way a little bit more. So not that one. That one's not fired up because I don't have any fire out in the outdoor wood burner. But I'll direct it over this way. As soon as things dry a little bit more, I'll get the big furnace fired up and we'll just crank the crap out of the heat for an hour. We'll get it up to 80 degrees in here. That stuff will dry off fast. And then I'll probably shoot it one more time. That's my plan at this point. That may change. Um, but I think this is a great exercise in the processes and the thinking of painting in a 100-year-old building like this without a paint booth, with no environmental controls, and using a brand new product that I've never used before. I'm not frustrated with the product at all. It's the learning curve, and I'm sharing it with you completely with transparency so that you can see what it is using a new product I've never used in this really, really bad environment for painting. Furnace has been running now for 15 minutes. That one's been running for about 20. I directed the blower from the furnace away from the truck because when I built that, I made so it could turn it. And this is already dry to the touch here, just in that 20 minutes. So I'm going to go check the other side. If this is working, then I've already changed out the paint to non-water reduced. I put the water reduced in a little pint can to use for future reference. And we'll spray this with unreduced, which I think will be fine. So let's go check the other side real quick and see what we got going on. I've already touched up some of the runs, just kind of feathered them out a little bit so they don't look as bad. So it's all about adapting. It's just door jams. That's why I love this. That's why I wanted to do the jams. The next we'll do the inside of the doors. We'll learn more. Then we'll be closer to being ready to painting the outside of the truck. If we need to, well, the other thing we can do is paint the inside of the cab in preparation before we do the outside. So we got lots of time to just learn as we go. We're still really wet on this side, so I'm going to direct the bottom of the furnace, my output down here. There, I can direct it over this way a little bit more. The electric heater over there is blowing right on it, so it makes sense that would dry faster. I just want to be real careful about dust and dirt. I don't want to get a bunch of dirt in that paint. Again, it's just a door jamb, so we're okay. But today, I mean, I've been at this for 5 hours already, so this is a big learning curve today. A good lesson, right? It's all good. So it's been another 5 or 10 minutes. That side's still wet. I'm going in the house for another half hour. That'll give it a lot more time to do its thing. And I want to make sure that's completely dry before I put on another coat. Plus, everything will be a lot warmer. So the next coat should dry faster just naturally anyway. So hopefully when I come back out here, it'll be 75 or 80 degrees. So just as a quick experiment, I just sprayed just this spot right here with the unthinned paint before I go in the house. So when I come back in a half an hour, I'm curious to see how that's dried in this environment with no water in it. It's been 26 minutes and change, whatever the clock says on the screen that I'm putting in here. Came back out. If touching it, it's drier than a popcorn fart there. Let's check this puddle down here. We're still wet there, but that makes sense because that was like a puddle. We're still wet there, so I'm going to let those two spots dry. Oops, I got a little splash over there. But everything else, I think, is good. So, I've learned some lessons. Let's talk about that. While I was in the house, I was in deep meditation and prayer regarding this, seeking the Lord's face and his mind. And the Lord spoke to me.
The Lord spoke to me, and he said, Repent and sin no more.
Don't thin it. Make sure the temperature's good. It's 75 degrees in here. The furnace just shut off. I'm going to bump that up again. Those two little white spots need to dry. I checked everything else is good and dry. So with this paint and this environment in this humidity today, because it's been raining all day, with the temperature being in the 60s, I need to make sure that the shop is closed, that the temperature's up high, and that I'm not reducing that paint with any water at all. That little bit that I did dried good in a half hour. It's got a nice shine. It's good coverage. So I said it facetiously, but repaint and thin no more.
Repaint and sin no more.
Like spraying a different product with the temperature and the not thinning it. Part of it is my gun was getting a little plugged up, but I'm really tickled with the way this turned out. So with a little more practice, I'm going to be able to blow this stuff really nice, I think. A little bit dull in there, but again, I don't care. It's a door jamb. Main thing is it's the right color. So we can work on shine as we get better at it. Laying it on flat panels will be a whole lot easier. Same thing here. Yep. Our edge is good, so we'll feather that in when we do when the door's on and we paint it. And yeah, I got no complaints here. I got a little heavier on this side. The gun was flowing better, so yeah, that's a thrill. I think we're gonna be doing good with this. So that's progress. That's success. That should be the final coat. So we'll let it dry for a half an hour and we'll check it. It's let's see what the temperature is in here right now. Looks like it's just shy of 80. So humidity and thinning were the issues with this product. Again, brand new product. Never used it. Never sprayed water-based paint on automotive before. Sprayed tons of it for buildings and so forth. But so it's a progress step and it's a learning curve. But I'm happy with this. Here's the amazing thing. This was done 5 minutes ago. It's already dry to the touch. So we're on to it. I mean, with this temperature, I may actually have to thin it a little more to get it to flow out. We'll figure that out as we go. I don't think we're going to need to spray anything more, so I'm going to go ahead and dump that paint. Uh, this paint can go right back in the can because it's not reduced. This could too because it's just water, but I don't think I want to mess with the base mix yet. How much have we used? Pint, less than a pint. So it's going to cover well, I think. That was success. It's shows the temperature is about 80 degrees, 22 minutes in. Already dry to the touch all around. Really happy with that. So again, learning curve. That's the main thing here. So I've learned a lot about what's going to need to happen to paint the rest of this truck. It's not as glossy as I might ultimately like, but I think I can do better. Part of the reason I'm documenting times and temperatures is so that in the future, when I go to paint more on this, I'll have better ideas and I'll start cataloging and I'll get a better feel for how this product works. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It certainly was a very frustrating process along the way, but I think I learned a whole lot today. We've got the insides of the doors to do. We've got the inside of the cab to do. So whether I do that now or later, I actually ended up putting some paint back in the can because I didn't even use half of what I put in the gun. So I would say we used a pint or less. Plus I have that 10% reduced stuff. I'm going to keep that separate. That way, if I decide I want to reduce the straight paint, I can just add a little of that and get a 2 or 3% reduction, or I can add water, of course. But overall, I think that's really good. I'm really happy with the way it all turned out. So thanks for joining for the journey. I really do try to share as transparently as possible how things go, how they work. Um, I figure that's the only way you're going to learn is if I share either what I know or I share what I'm learning. And a lot of times it's something I'm learning as I'm going, whether you're watching me do fabrication, the paint work, mechanical work, whatever it is. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, but there's always something to learn. And remember, the day that you stop learning is the day that you start dying. So I plan to live forever. So there's a lot to learn. I mean, after all, I plan to live forever. And so far, so good. That'll do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. I appreciate you being here. And as always, rock!